Hi, Rick Harsh. I'm here to review the book The Translator's Bride by Joao Reis. Um, but I have a few preliminary. I hope you don't mind my hat. Suddenly there was a streetcar in Isla, and I went for a ride. It was all just a mess. There's a little kid farting, and somebody dropped her carrots, and they were kicking them around, and it's an odd smell. Like, not at first I thought garlic, and then it sort of sulfurized. But that's just one of two stories I have to tell you. Anyway, someone had left a hat on the streetcar, so I tried it. Maybe a little small for me. It looks a little small, but it actually feels good. So I think I'll keep it. What do you think? Uh, Let me know. I know I have hundreds of fans uh, somewhere in this dung heap of a burning world or flaming dung heap. Anyway, another true story. I live on the waterfront, and but the sea ends right across the street, and then it's the old new old town, sort of. But if you walk that way for a block, you come to a roundabout. But if you don't go onto the street, you turn left, and right away you cross the street, and then you're at the little store, and just past that, you're at the post office. Okay? So it's a very short walk for me, and I was there 3 times today. Uh, but one day, I was walking there, and I noticed staring at me a man, very, very distinct man, because his mustache, his hair was white, gray, white, and his mustache was white, and it went whoop, like this and here, and his eyes were glaring at me, just glaring at me. I thought, well, that's very odd. And I did what I had to do in the post office, and and we passed again in just about the same spot. And he looked at me with hate, and he spit as he said to me, this is absolutely true. Cartufe! Cartufe! Okay? What? Cartufe! You know, and I investigated this, and because I knew it was Germanic. I asked a friend from the Netherlands, and I can't remember what he said, but the best I could get from was from actually from the internet. I found that it was unclear, but I found that it was a slang and a negative, pejorative slang for German people, and it meant potato. And so I never did quite put it together. One source seemed to suggest that some Germans called other Germans that, like emigrants or immigrants or whatever, and another was that all Germans were called that, but it wasn't Kartufe; it was Kartoffel or Kart. Anyway, it didn't make sense at all. I did see the guy again, and I said Kartufe. He said Kartufi, and so I still don't know. But it's very strange, to actually these things happen to me. Odd things happen to me all the time. It's a strange world, and I attract the strangest. Um, why does a man hate me and call me a potato or a German? I don't know. You can hate me for plenty of reasons. For being here is I think the most common. Um, there are all different euphemisms for hating someone for existing. But that's most hatred actually is hatred of people for existing. Um, Joao Reis's translator, um, I believe, the translator of the novel, who's his narrator, I believe he hates no one, but is disgusted by everyone because he feels hated. That's what I think. Now, I didn't think about. I've just finished the book 15 minutes ago. I've had a very bad night's sleep. But uh, I started his book, and it's a very difficult uh, book to stop reading um, because of the way that because of the run-on sentences, I think, and because the run-on sentences are. I'll just pick one page at random. I just turned here. It's pneumonia. It starts the page. I won't read the end of the other page, but pneumonia, comma, I'll end up in a sanatorium, comma, I'll die in an anonymous bed, a sad end indeed, the living will still eat stews, write poetry, drive streetcars, if that's my destiny, it would be preferable to give up soon. I'd rather be torn up in pieces right now, commas, 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 you know, ground by bombs and shrapnel and bullets and barbed wire, comma, die instantly, comma, like a man, comma. Now you get the commas. You say comma. I'll just read. Okay? Instead of dying little by little, yielding day after day to death, we strive to be someone, to live, work, own a house, eat, be a writer, a translator. And for what purpose? We still die sooner or later. The world doesn't stop spinning. We only postpone the inevitable. Why are we compelled to fight for our survival? If she was here with me, it would be worth it, however. She's not. It's a calamity. I enter the dining room. It's lit by a triple candlestick. There are three of us at the table. The student didn't show up. Mrs. Lucrezia serves Miss Sancha. I cannot tell for sure what's the dish served as dinner, but it seems to consist of lentils and potatoes, I presume. It's a strange gravy. The vapors again. Do I smell burning? One can hear pans and pots rattling in the kitchen. The maid is tidying and cleaning. She's not allowed to dine together with us. So you see the way that that's happening. The way that what's happening, the way that this is going, is that you're getting almost a stream of consciousness, but there's a consistency. You're in the present tense, and you're getting his thoughts and what he's doing, and the main factor of the novel is that his bride has gone off on a ship to another land and taken a job, and he's grieving, and existing and being disgusted, and letting it all out. I don't know if he's unhappy. Yeah. He's definitely unhappy, but he's often very funny. And the first time that I decided to mark something because it was funny was when he was describing his landlady for the first time. So let me just read one more passage, and I don't want to make this too long because I always make these too long. Mrs. Lucrezia, a widow who sucks her poor tenants dry, and speaking of the devil, there she is, coming down the stairs. The crone looks like an elephant, a rhinoceros. Those fat paws make the whole floor tremble. She's a hippopotamus. She's an elephant, a rhinoceros, a hippopotamus, a genuine ungulate beast. What an ugly mug. She hasn't reached the bottom of the stairs yet and is already gasping for air. A human kettle, ready to explode. What she saves in light bulbs is more than enough to fill that paunch. All day long my room is invaded by the odors of cooking. I'm only entitled to 3 thrifty meals, but this huge batrachian braises, roasts, and fries from morning till evening. When she passes by us, we get a whiff of the stench of fries. I'm not allowed to smoke indoors. The smoke bothers her. She couldn't enjoy the smell of her stews. The flabby carcass has just come down the stairs, and before I can greet her, a word comes to my mind. Damn, I forgot what language it is and what it means. Kartoffler. Yes, but how terrible. What a mental obscenity, right when I have Miss Lucrezia before me. Then he goes on to call her the greedy harpy. Her body absorbs most of the light. It's grotesque. and on, and the ass. Um, he just goes on and on and on like that. And you get a, I mean, it's like a amusingly grim um, book in the environment it creates, but it's much more than amusingly grim as a novel. But I have to say one other thing. Our guy, he seems. I mean, he's beaten down. His wife has left him. He loses his hat on a streetcar. Ah, uh huh. No, couldn't be the same one. Could it? Well, anyway, but just when you think he's beaten, he gains strength from his disgust. It overwhelms him, and So the old woman draws near. I lean over the banister. I'm standing on the second step, bent over. He takes everything she gives him. He has to beg for a candle to get any light. He gets lousy food. Uh, he's all wet first night of the book. I've soaked the carpet. Water is dripping from my body. I shiver with cold. Can't help it. It's stronger than me. The fat widow stretches her neck. I come closer. Can smell her breath of greasy Sunday roasts. She hasn't digested them yet. Overnight wasn't enough. She anxiously waits. I shout into her ear, "Kartoffler! Kartoffler! Kartoffler!" And that word runs throughout the book, which is um, very funny when it's funny, but it's really sad as well, and but an absolute pleasure to read for the flow and the ebb and flow. It's like waves. I think that's the best way to put it, and the most apt. He writes in waves. I think that it's very rare, if ever, that he actually ends a sentence within a paragraph. Every paragraph is clause, partial clause after clause after clause after clause, um, and it's these wavelets that are going constantly, but never quite in the same direction. Always, they're as unpredictable as real choppy waves, and it really serves to move things along and draw you in. And one oddity is that it's a short enough book. It's 117 pages, and I have the feeling that I've read something much, much longer and also short at the same time. It's a mystifying effect. Uh, I've talked to only one person about this, and I think he called it the best book he read. This is a guy who knows his books, by the way. And not having his permission, I won't use his name, but he's a reader that I trust a great deal. And he said it was one of the best or the best book he read last year. And I can see it. Haven't had time to think about all the books it might be compared to, but we just published his bedraggled uh, uh, grandma, and with Russian Snow. Uh, and, these two together. I mean, this is a major writer, and you know, and yet maybe he's in some ways more like his character than he should be, working way too many hours, translating way too much when he should be writing, and paid to write, and made, give him his 30 grand a year and his little house. Interesting thing in the book, there's a little house that the bride, before she left, had admired once and thought it was just lovely and darling. And so throughout the book, he's thinking if he gets the house, maybe he can win her back, draw her back. But it's a little yellow house, And that's a little odd, isn't it? I mean, a little yellow house. But yeah, it's odd, especially because the first time he describes it, it's green, and then it's yellow, and um, and it's yellow. I mean, you see the greenhouse early on, and I see colors really well when someone tells me to, and I remember the colors. So I kept, but I didn't want to look back and try to, waste time trying to find where that was, until I finished the book. And then I went back and I found it, and yes, it was green. But every time there's a gap before it's mentioned again, and then it's yellow. And it's always yellow after that in the book. And I have to think about what he's doing there. What is he throwing at us? And the ending of the book is throwing something at us, throwing a lot at us. And it's. I had no idea how it was going to end. I had a lot of guesses, but I didn't guess the actual end. But it's an end worthy of the book. You don't. I don't know. I can't think of any right now, but there are some books that are short and uh, don't have enough power for that uh, length. But more often, you find short books have more going on, more action, and less thought. Fuck, I'm just babbling now. But what I'm trying to say is that the end is weighty enough for the book, and the weight of the book is enough that you have no idea if you flung it in the water if it would sink or float. That's something to think about. 17 minutes. It's not so long, is it? I hope it's not too long for you because I don't know. I wanted to tell you about the press. Open Letter Press is connected. They only publish translations, but they publish 10 or so a year, I guess, and from all over the world. And Joao Reis is the only Portuguese, but I see many countries here. Looks like mostly European. I don't know if Iceland is still in Europe, and I don't know if it's even still there. Argentina, okay. So no, Peru, Brazil, okay, all over the world. Then and uh, there aren't many people I recognize on the back. I can't remember. There were a couple in their list of authors, but it's a very good press, and I urge you to look them up. I don't know how much this would have cost me. $14.95. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's very well edited. Well, I shouldn't say edited because I don't know, but it's very very well proofread. Better than I proofread mine, or I don't proofread mine. I hope my authors deliver them to me proofread. That's only partially bullshit. And uh, they're clearly built for writers, and they're all to the good. They're connected to the University of Rochester. Did I say that, or just think it, or did he tell me that? He told me that, but did I say it or think it? I don't know. And I unfortunately have the rest of my information about Open Letter Press on the very phone that I'm recording with. But so I can't give you the names of the editors unless they're written in here. But it's www.openletterbooks.org. Go there and experiment, and you might find you'll definitely find some interesting stuff. Um, Joao has another one coming out. Georgi Gospodinov of Bulgaria. I've read something of his that's different from the Physics of Sorrow, which they have here. So maybe this is a press that launches some writers into more greater prominence, like Georgi gospodinov, and maybe they find things that others haven't found. Maybe some of these people are no longer alive. I don't know. I wish them all long lives if they started with life. But anyway, babbling. You've all probably gone by now. So who cares? I don't mean to be brutally honest, but I suck at this. But Joao Reis does not suck at writing. He belongs in the modern classics of every bookstore, and he's going to make it. He's going to make it. Because now he's got two, and I'm not the only one who knows, and I'm not the only one who's read them both, and in English. He's got plenty of readers. I don't know how many, but he's got plenty of reviews of his books on Goodreads in his own language, and probably Spanish as well. So trust me. Do I look like a guy who would lie? If I do, it's probably the hat.